Guys, I just had the most incredible conversation, probably of the last, I don't know, my life. I am truly amazed by this wonderful woman. Hannah Hammond, someone I met about a year and a half ago. You guys all watched her on-camera debut on a reel that we made together and her on my YouTube channel. About a year and a half ago, we chatted in a restaurant and she was known as the McFlurry Millionaire, but she is so much more than that. And today we talk about her new business ventures, her journey and path in healing, all of the ways that she's been raising her frequency and her energy, and how that is helping her build her soon-to-be billion-dollar commercial lending business. So this is Hannah B. Hammond. Hannah Hammond.
I love you.
Love you back. It's so awesome to have a chance to sit and chat with you again. You know, we've become really close friends since our random meeting in the mall.
I know. That was so crazy.
Which is really crazy. A lot of people thought that was staged, that like we had staged that in some way, but it was Bobby knew you and he was like, hey, I know her. And so I was just like, okay, well, you know, hi. And then I asked you those questions and you were super put on the spot. But it was an interesting thing because it was really the first time you were on camera.
Ever. And that was my biggest fear my entire life, was being on camera, having photos, videos, speaking, any of that.
And what's happened since?
It's crazy. I know. Now I have a podcast called The Hannah Hammond Show, and we talk about entrepreneurship and growing in life and reaching our highest potential and all the challenges and setbacks and struggles. And I'm doing my first speech on stage in front of an audience, which I'm terrified still, and I want to run so far and so fast, but at the same time, I feel called to it, and I know to have the impacts that I want to have and share my gifts with the world and help other people share their gifts with the world. It's something that I'm called to do. So I'm working on that speech right now.
So it's an interesting reality that we really don't know where our launching pads are going to come from and like what's going to be that thing that pushes us into the like next chapter of our life. And I'm not taking any credit for it because that's your work. The reality is though, is that had we not done that little thing and then you saw that it wasn't really all that bad, I put it out. We then do a podcast together. It was the second time I think you were on camera is when we did that. And I got hundreds of people reaching out to me about that one, talking about the McDonald's millionaire. And they were so inspired by you. They were inspired at the fact that you had made it from where you made it from, that you are one of the like foremost commercial real estate investors, brokers, not only in the Arizona market, I would say in the country.
Thank you.
But since then, you've been really, really diving into your journey into healing. And we've connected a lot on that. We've done breathwork sessions.
Also my first time.
Or your first time.
And meditating.
Yeah. So, man, I showed you a lot of stuff,
I
girl.
know. I owe it all to you.
No, you don't. You owe it all to you. But the realities, again, are just like you never know who and what and how that's all going to happen, right? We've become like super close friends, and I'm really, really, really interested in not only the commercial success that you've been having, because I want to dive into that today, but also the healing journey that you've been on. And so many people think that it's unnecessary or even distasteful to talk about both. And I would like to say that that's the farthest thing from the truth. I think that you don't get to your best potential in business until you release some of the traumas and heal some of the pain that we all hold and have. And so let's get into some of the commercial things that have been developing in your life, because a lot has been happening. So tell me about it.
So HP Capital is officially launched, and we're doing loans. Thank you. It was 4 years in lending, of private lending and being a private lender, and then a year of attorney fees and back and forth and licensing and building the brand and the website and all the structure, right? And so it's so exciting to finally see your baby be born and it to start making money and start helping clients and pairing the right borrowers with the right capital and doing deals, and be able to see a company, have a company, birth a company that I can truly see becoming a billion-dollar organization, and one that I actually enjoy building. And I enjoy the clients that I serve, the people we're working with, the people on my team who are all involved and who are really the experts behind it that I'm learning from every single day. Like the team I brought aboard, they've been top loan brokers in the country for 26 years and have done over $15 billion in loans. So I feel so grateful to be able to have found that right partner to help get HP Capital launched and going very quickly. But part of that journey was having to step into a higher version of myself in order to attract the right people in my life to even make that dream come to fruition. And it's been so beautiful because I always was wondering, like, how do I do it? How, there's so many, like, how, I don't know. I don't have the experience, or I don't know the resources, or I don't know all the ins and outs or the legalities, or like, where do I even begin in this new world, right? I'm from commercial real estate, but building a commercial mortgage brokerage is a whole new world for me. And so it was just really cool because in my past, before I did a lot of the healing work and before I really did the work that was so easy to avoid, I didn't attract the right kinds of people because I wasn't the person that I needed to be to attract the right kinds of people. So I attracted a lot of toxic relationships, or relationships that were using me, or relationships that just felt very like resistant, like opposite ends of a magnet, or just like, this isn't right, you know? And so it's been really cool. That's been the most beautiful thing on this journey, is just to see like attracting you into my life. You know, you're such a beautiful soul and a beautiful friend and a beautiful everything. And I just didn't have that when I was, you know, prior to these past couple years of my life. It was very different and very resisting, and now it's just very abundant, and it's just like the right things will flow to me, and the right things will come to me, and the right lessons I will learn. And it's a really exciting time to just embrace everything that's ahead, the dark side and the good side.
Wow, let's unpack that, because I 100% agree with you. I think that everything is alignment and attraction, right? And in life, when we are pushing against the grain, and when we're grinding, when we're hustling, and we're just like, man, what is happening here? Why does it feel like every door is closed?
Yeah.
Why does it feel like I'm constantly stepping into another landmine, another problem, another broken version of what I'm trying to create here? And we get these little signals, right? We get these little signs from the universe that are saying to you, hey, wrong direction. But then when we're in the right direction, it's just like, yes! And you get like the lights going and the lights flashing, and you feel a different sense inside. And then you feel like, oh my God, that was really easy. And then you take the next step, and then you take the next step, and the next, and the next. And so that's what it looks like has been happening to you. And I've been following your growth on social media. I've been watching your podcast, which is phenomenal, by the way. Thank you for having me on it.
Thank you.
You kill it as a podcaster. You're already a very accomplished real estate investor, but I think the world of podcasts, you're going to slay. And you know what? Let's just say that you're successful in both, but I think you're going to be really successful in the world of podcasting because, again, you're just such a dynamic person with this range of things that are real to you. So let's talk about the attraction. You're welcome. And own that, receive it, because it's a real thing. Let's dive into that attraction that you've been having. What do you think causes it?
You attract what you are, ultimately, or you attract what you resist, which is even the deeper layer to that onion, right? Is because when we focus on the things, what I've found in my life at least, is when I focus on the things that I don't want, and I give any energy or attention into what I'm resisting or what I don't want to happen in my life, that's exactly what I attract into my life, and that's exactly the outcome that I have. And I see that in other people too. And it's human nature. We have survival brains. Like, we didn't evolve and stay alive for this long by just letting everything be and flow and whatever, right? We're at a different level of consciousness now. We have different resources and tools and accessibility and consciousness that allows us to step into this higher frequency, this higher intelligence, this higher energy, this higher vibration that maybe didn't serve us when we were trying to fight for food way back in the day. But I think that evolution and that constant relentless pursuit of our highest potential, or realizing our highest and best self, is something that we need to lean into today. And so many people are still kind of stuck in that like fight or flight victimhood mentality. Well, you know, I have 6 kids, or my husband left me, or, you know, my ex is a loser, or I was abused as a kid, or like poor me. And it's so true that all these things are so true, and life is not always fair, and there's so much suffering. There's so much pain, and that's never going to end. But the way we approach our pain and suffering, and the way we react to these things that occur in our lives, because every single one of us, we're either entering a storm, in the middle of a storm, or coming out of a storm. And it's always that, right? Like, oh, I just got out of a really, really difficult period in my life, or I'm like right in the midst of a really difficult period of my life, or geez, I'm just starting to get into a really difficult period. But if you change the way you perceive these storms coming into your life, and you know, like, these storms are part of Earth's existence, these storms are part of my life's existence, and instead of trying to resist it all the time, be like, God, another storm, another problem, another loss, another lawsuit, another employee, employee issue, another blah, blah, blah. It's just like, no, I embrace this storm. It's a beautiful storm of my life, and I'm going to learn something from it. And I'm going to really reflect on what can I do better? How can I grow from this? And try to really be intentional about keeping my energy high, my vibration high, and understanding that I'm exactly where I need to be. I know exactly who I am. I'm acting in integrity with my higher self, and I'm going to get through this storm, and I'm going to come out faster, better, stronger, and just ultimately a better version of me.
Woo! That's great. So what do you do daily to do that? Like, I get it. And it's not easy to say or understand, because we understand that like that takes work to get to that perspective. To see love in pain is hard. To see universal love in a painful situation is sometimes even like that close to impossible, right? But it is possible when you're truly changing perspective and when you see things as happening for you rather than to you, right? And attachment to outcomes, people, circumstance, identities, all of that makes us suffer more because it's life that things evolve, that things change, that things come and things go. Relationships come, relationships go. Money comes, money goes. Businesses and careers and identities that we hold on to come and go. And sometimes we get so attached to these identities of who we were that we're scared of letting that go to become who we're supposed to be. And I saw that in my own life, right? I've been Jamil the wholesaler for 20 years, and I've been a damn good one. But the reality is I'm evolving, I'm changing, I'm growing, and I'm doing different types of business. I'm doing different types of research. I'm thinking about other things in my life. I'm talking about other things in my life. More different things are important to me than were important to me as Jamil the wholesaler from 20 years ago. And it would be foolish of me to think that that man still needs to be in this today. And that means that I didn't grow at all, that nothing happened for me. And the hustle that you have as a successful wholesaler is the tools that I'm gonna use to succeed and excel in this version of my life. And so I have to let go of these identities, these attachments that I have. But it's easier said than done, right? We go back and look and mourn and grieve, and there's sadness there, there's loss there. And I've got some techniques and tools that I use to overcome some of that emotional baggage and some of the attachments that I've had in my life. I've introduced you to a couple of them. You know, breathwork and meditation have been phenomenally helpful to me. But I've reached out to you a lot of times and I've asked, hey, are you doing your breathwork? And no, you're not. And so I know there's other things that are working because you're doing great. And so speak to that, because I'm that two-trick pony, right? Like for me, the prescription to any problem is, yeah, just do this breath work and do these meditations and things will get better because your energy will change, and that works for me. And it works for thousands of people. But what's working for you? Like what? Is it talk therapy? Is it being around other people that are on the same path? Like, what are the techniques that Hannah Hammond uses to heal herself and to keep her energy high?
Yeah, and I think for me, it's been a multi-year journey. It's been a life journey. And I just remember, you know, obviously the story with my father, my earliest memory of saying I was going to be a millionaire when I was 7 years old and sitting in the backseat of his 1990s silver Toyota Celica. And I just wanted an Oreo McFlurry and he wouldn't buy it for me. He said we couldn't afford it. And I, you know, screamed and cried and said, I'm going to be rich so I can buy myself McFlurries. And I remember that day, that moment, sweating in the car, my legs sticking to the seats, so clear. And I remember the household that we were in, you know, my brother that struggled with rage and addiction, and my mom was unhappy and just trying to do the best she possibly could do to survive. And my dad didn't even have any awareness over life. And I judged my family so much for so long. And I was, now looking back, I was so hypocritical and I was such a victim around it all. And I was like, I didn't ever say this, but I think in my bones, I really felt like poor me. And I used it to fuel me from a place of fear of nobody's gonna love me, nobody's gonna take care of me. If I wanna be safe, I have to succeed. If I wanna be loved, I have to earn it. If I wanna be free, I have to be rich. And it served me because it drove me to succeed, but it only served me for so long. And when I finally did succeed and I finally did have the money that I thought that would make me happy, would make me feel peace, would make me be free, and I still didn't feel peace or happiness or freedom, that's when, instead of doing the thing, and I remember this moment where I changed my life when I was searching for answers, and I started joining the masterminds, and I had some wealth, but I didn't have that peace or freedom I was looking for. So I figured, well, it must just be more wealth. I need to make more money. So how do I get around wealthier people and learn how to build my business bigger and all these things? And when I sat in a room at the Scottsdale Princess Resort at a mastermind called Long Angle, The topic was called Life After the Exit. And I'm literally surrounded by entrepreneurs who had sold their companies for tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. And they had like everything that I thought, maybe that's just what I need, right? I just need $100 million and then I'll feel happy. But there was so much pain in the room. Like they had everything, they'd reached the top, but they didn't really have themselves and they didn't really know who they were. And they were like, I don't know who I am without my business. And it was such a heartbreaking moment for me because I said, that's gonna be me when I'm 50 or 60 years old. And I don't want to be that way. I wanna be free, truly free. And I wanna create a company and create wealth because I love it. I love the game. I wanna serve. I wanna create. It's my expression of myself, right? I don't want to keep creating it because I'm trying to fill this hole inside of me or numb this pain or be addicted to the outcome or the ego or the status or the whatever. And so from that moment, that's when I started the inner work. And the inner work first started with going to the gym every single day, hiring a personal trainer. Just as terrified as I was to be on camera, I was as terrified to be at a gym because I was so insecure. I had a severe eating disorder. I had no real relationships because I was obsessed with food and I was bulimic and I would binge eat and I had all these issues, right? And so exercising every single day and prioritizing my health above everything else was the first huge catalyst for me to start to feel some self-confidence, have something that I can accomplish on a day-to-day basis that wasn't just closing a real estate deal or whatever, making some money. And that was the first thing. Then it went into energy work. Starting to have awareness and starting to learn. I hired an energetic intelligence coach, which I didn't even know what the hell that was. It was amazing. And it was so simple. And he just said, when you're in a state of flow, when you're operating in your realm of genius, when you're doing things that you love, you're 5 times more productive and you're gonna build a better business, you're gonna have better relationships, and you're gonna have a happier life. And the aim of your life should be 90%, you should be in the green zone where you feel good. You shouldn't be 90% in the red zone where you feel stressed or overwhelmed or angry or anxious or fearful or whatever. Leave 10% for that because there's gonna be loss and heartbreak and issues and problems, right? And when I realized and I started to do an energy audit of my energy throughout the day, every hour of every day I set an alarm on my phone to remind me to check in. Where am I at? Who am I with? What am I doing? How do I feel? I started to really realize, oh, okay, these things make me feel expansive. Like these people, these clients, these friends, these relationships, this music, these animals, like these foods, these physical activities, these make me feel expansive. These make me feel in the green zone. These things over here, they make me feel contracted. They make me feel stressed, overwhelmed, angry, fearful, afraid, all the negative things. And I just started to get rid of those and do more of these. And that meant leaving the relationship I was in, changing the business I was in, saying no to clients that were sucking the life out of me that I was trying to please because I wanted to make the money or I didn't want to let them down, prioritizing my health, listening to happy, positive music, watching happy, positive, laughing movies or comedy shows, playing with my dogs or riding horses, like all these things. And that little shift of just leaning into the things that made me feel expansive and good started to attract more of that into my life because I started to vibrate at a higher level. And then after I got over that hump and made some serious changes in my life, I started doing the therapy and the inner work and started peeling back the layers of the onion that I didn't want to peel back because my eyes were going to burn really, really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that therapy really helped and at this time I was still on antidepressants.
Okay.
I still had an eating disorder, but I was manageable.
I remember when you and I met, you were still on Wellbutrin. Mm-hmm. And you had basically said to me that if it wasn't for Wellbutrin, I would be an anxious mess right now. There's no way that I'd be able to be doing this podcast with you. There's no way that I'd be even shown up.
I know.
And so you at that time, so this is the last time we actually talked about this. At that time, that antidepressant was like your savior, and you're not on it anymore.
No, nope.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so what happened? We've seen a lot's happen, but how did that come about?
Well, so I was starting to do better. You invited me to do breath work and meditation, and you started to introduce some of these concepts that I had heard, but I didn't really know too much about it. And I hadn't done a lot of research on consciousness or meditation or breath work or healing. I was just entering that realm, and that really helped to slow down the train. Because when we have addictions in life, it's often like if you're addicted to something, or for me, it was food. I would numb out with food and I would almost disassociate and I would just eat, whether I'm procrastinating or anxious or whatever, and it would be this temporary pleasure. and this temporary escape from whatever reality I was in. But I hired an eating coach also, which is a big piece. And she said, Hannah, you need to slow down the train, because if you're on a train that's going 1,000,000 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, you can't see outside. You can't see what's out the window. You can't see the scenery. And so in order to see the scenery and to have the awareness, you have to stop the train. And I started to teach myself through meditation and through parasympathetic breathing. There's a breathing where if you inhale 4 seconds,
exhale 8.
Exhale 8, then it puts your body into a parasympathetic state, which means not a fight or flight state. But if you're, huffing and puffing or holding your breath or anything like that, you go into this fight or flight state and your body starts to tighten up and get anxious and disconnect. That parasympathetic breathing, I would start to do that every time before I ate, and it would put my body into this calm state. And then I started to do that before I had tough calls with my team, before I had tough calls with clients, before I was going to make any big decisions. I would just slow down the train, make it a habit, and I would set reminders on my phone or post-it notes on my mirrors and do all these things to get myself in the habit of just slowing down. And then I haven't been keeping up with my meditation practice as much lately, but it helps me so much, and I really want to prioritize meditating, because being able to slow down the train and just zoom out and just think, or try not to think, like to get your brain to nothingness, then I feel like a lot of the intuitive answers would start to come to me, like, oh, this is what I should do with my business, or this relationship isn't really making me feel that great, but I'm doing it. And it gives you that space. And I think so many of us entrepreneurs, and I'm speaking for myself here, I'm such a driver. I have so much to do, right? Like we have so much to do. We have an never-ending task list. We have so many goals we want to accomplish, and we feel like stopping is wasting time or preventing us from reaching those goals because we just have so much to do. But in reality, zooming out, slowing down, pausing, stopping the train is really what, working on the business, working on yourself is really what can level you up in your life, your business, your relationships, your life all around. And that was really, really helpful. The biggest thing though, well, I can't say that because it's all been a journey, but I did a lot of that work. I did better with food, but I still struggled. I still had this kind of obsession and compulsion and all this stuff. And I still, felt anxious and some of these things, although I was really happy and doing a lot better. But I was like, God, I'm still struggling here. And it came down to the fact that I was still holding on to resentment for a lot of people. And I was still, the biggest one being myself, and then my parents and my brothers and my friends who had hurt me, or my high school boyfriends who had hurt me, or so-and-so who had done me wrong, or this agent that stole a commission from me and ran, or this person that I invested so much into and just took advantage of me. Like, I realized I was holding on to so much anger that I was completely ignoring, that I thought I'm just, happy-go-lucky Hannah, I'm happy Hannah, everything's good, I'm always okay, I'm never upset, I'm never angry, I'm always doing what people want me to do and what I'm wanting myself to do. But shoving all that down and pretending that it didn't exist was truly killing me. And I didn't even know it. It was, death by slowly being poisoned or slowly being boiled.
It's like death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah. And so when I started to read them, I read The Myth of Normal by Dr. Gabor Mate and went to his event and really learned what is trauma and what is the primary root of all trauma. And the primary root of all trauma is a child not feeling truly seen or truly heard or truly protected, primarily by their parent figures when they're really young. And this is what opens the door to more severe trauma throughout your life, right? But that's really the primary
Because that relationship is the reason why you put yourself in other toxic relationships, and then that toxicity just continues and it cycles over and over again, and you keep finding yourself in these patterns that are literally replaying themselves from your childhood in how you were interacting in the relationship that you had with your parents.
Exactly.
So you're just playing that same thing out over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think he says by the time you're 7 years old, most of your beliefs about the world have already been formed, and your personality's already been formed, and you don't even remember most of those memories, but your body does. And like the book, Your Body Keeps Score. And when I stopped resisting my parents, because for me, I was just like, don't need them. They don't serve me. I don't serve them. I love them, but I've forgiven them. All the lies to myself. I love them. I forgive them. I'm whatever. I talk to them and I have a relationship with them, but I don't need to go deeper with those relationships. When I stopped believing that lie and started to go deeper and really had the hard conversations And, you know, I talked to my mom about all the things that I was holding on to that had hurt me, not in a way of I'm a victim or you did wrong, but in a way of I've been repressing these things and shoving these down, and these are the things that hurt me and affected me in my life, and I love you so much, and I know you love me unconditionally, and you did the best you possibly could, and everything, I truly believe now, everything was the only way it could have been, and it was the best way it could have been. And it wasn't like, oh, this happened to me or whatever, right? It was truly gratitude for it, but still being able to come from a place of love and share my real feelings and not feel like, oh, I'm going to hurt her feelings, or she's going to get upset, or I don't want to cause a problem, or I don't want to, you know, cause conflict, whatever. And having that open communication with her, although how hard the conversation was, it was so beautiful to see how our relationship shifted and flourished. And it's like so much weight came off of both of our shoulders, and she was able to open up with me about things that she had been holding on to for her whole life. And it was so beautiful to see that. And my mom and I are so close now, like so close. And it was the biggest shift in a lot of the pain that I was still feeling, and like some of the resistance and the, I guess, just contractiveness or tightness that I was feeling in my body on a day-to-day. But here's the kicker, and this is how much we can believe our own lies. So I healed the relationship with my mom, but for my dad, I kind of just wrote it off. I was like, I love my dad. I forgive my dad, but you know, there's no sense in having a relationship.
Why? Because you didn't feel like it would serve you at all, or he had nothing to offer you? Like, what was the reason for writing it off?
Yeah, I felt like I would receive nothing beneficial from the relationship, and I would give nothing beneficial to the relationship. I'm like, he brings out a bad version of me. I don't think I bring out a good version of him. I haven't talked to him really in 10 years. Like, what's the point? I'm doing fine. My life is great. He seems great. Like, no anger, but I'm good, you know? Mm-hmm. And then I was in another Mastermind Genius Network, my favorite of all time, and I was talking to Ben Hardy, who's one of my favorite entrepreneur authors.
What a great author. Yep.
So good.
Yep.
And I told him I want to build HB Capital to $1 billion organization. And I'm like, I am so good now, though. Like, it's all from a place of love and creation and abundance and joy and passion. And I just want to create and serve and give. And I want to, you know, give to all these charities and teach kids financial intelligence and emotional intelligence and healing and all these things. And he asked me, how's your relationship with your parents? And I told him the same thing. Like, oh, my mom and I are so great. I've forgiven my dad, blah, 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 and kind of brushed over it. He's like, Hannah, if you truly want to scale to that level and you truly want to reach your highest potential and truly live your best life, you have to heal your relationship with your father. I want you to call him, and I want you to take him out to dinner and talk to him. And he didn't say those exact words, but that was basically what he told me.
Okay, and then?
And it was like,
how did that go?
10 years of silence.
Oh.
And because
10 years of silence between you and your dad.
Yeah.
And the phone rings and it's Hannah.
Yeah.
Literally,
yeah.
Like that's what happens?
Yeah. Yeah, he does. I don't even think he had my number saved in his flip phone. He just has a flip phone. And
no.
Yeah, he's like, hello? I'm like, it's your daughter. He's like, oh, hey, Hannah. Yeah. So 10 years, and it's so funny because anybody could have told me that, but because I respected Ben so much, and it was just like the perfect time, he just gave me his pre-release of his new book, The Science of Scaling, and I'm like, I want to scale, like I'm healthy, I'm healed, all these things. Still had an eating problem, but it was very manageable. This was recently, this was like 4 or 5 months ago. And I literally called my dad the next day, and I said, hey dad, it's Hannah, and I just want you to know that I've been carrying a lot of resentment for you my entire life. I've blamed a lot of my issues on you. I've hated you. I've looked down on you, and I'm so sorry. And I want to ask you for your forgiveness, and I want to have a relationship with you because I don't know you. I really don't. And I've just kind of written you off. And when I think of you, my blood kind of boils. And so I try to just not think of you. But I don't want to run away anymore. And I don't want to pretend like everything's okay. And I also don't want to hate you and resent you. And I truly want to know you and want you to know that I'm here for you and I love you. And I'd like to take you to dinner.
So I imagine that this was really like out of left field for him because he's just like, what the hell is happening right now? And how was his reaction to it all?
He was my dad. And it was funny because I told Ben, he's like, if you're not ready, that's okay. And I'm like, no, I'm ready. I need to do this. And I knew he was right. But I was like, I know my dad's going to be the same dad. I know exactly how he's going to respond, what he's going to say. Like he has the same conversations. He's the same man. That was the whole thing, is he never, changed. And he said that. He's like, oh, that's so nice of you, Hannah. And I love you so much. And I'm so proud of you. And da-da-da-da-da. And it was nice because I had told Ben, I know my dad won't be different. And he goes, but you'll be different. And when I heard my dad say the words that I knew he would say, I was like, I'm different. now.
So it hit you different.
It did. And for the first time in my life, my blood wasn't boiling. My body wasn't tight. I wasn't attached to, well, I wish we had this kind of relationship. I wish you were this kind of man. I wish you didn't do this, or I wish you were this, right? It was just like, I accept you and I love you and I'm here for you and I forgive you and I apologize. And dinner was beautiful. And you know, dad is dad. Like there was no massive transformation in my father, but there was in me. And for the first time, I think in my dad's life, he was sitting across from somebody that wasn't attacking him.
Wow.
You know, that saw him, like that was actually listening to him, that actually wasn't waiting for him to say something that I could jump on and be like, you're stupid, or why would you do that, or whatever, right? Because that's what he was used to. And he cried. And my dad has never cried in my whole life. Never have seen him show any emotion. And he cried and he's like, I'm so sorry. Like my parents gave me away when I was a boy, when they got divorced. And my mother has never told me she loves me, not once. And I regret that I couldn't have been a better father to my 3 kids and a better husband to your mother. And I didn't know how to love any of you.
Wow.
And it was like such a beautiful moment to see him have permission to heal and him have permission to become free, because he has been in chains his whole life, and his mother has been in chains, and his father has been in chains, and my mother has been in chains, and my mother's father, and my mother's mother, and
you
it's been,
ultimately,
and me, yeah, and it's been multi-generational, and that's how like multi-generational trauma continues, because your parents are doing the best they can to protect themselves and to survive, and they normally have good intentions with their kids, and they normally really love their kids, but because they aren't free, they can't show up their best selves because they're trying to survive, and they're living in chains, and they're struggling with their internal battles. And just to see him like breathe and let go and that weight come off of his shoulders, not only did I free myself, but I saw him become free. And like every single ounce of pain in my life up until that moment was worth it for that moment. And that same moment that I had with my mom, when my mom opened up with me, it was like, thank you, God, that I went through all of these things. And it wasn't even bad things. Like people have it so much worth, but I don't like any sort of trauma comparison. It's our story is our story, and our feeling and our inner battles are ours. And we own that, and we all have it. Like we all have a shadow. We all have a demon. We all have that person in us that we're terrified to be us. Like, the shadow work and stuff like that. And it's something that we all relate to and we all share. And if we can see people and their actions in a way of they're just suffering human beings that are fighting their own battles, it doesn't make it right or wrong or condone that it's okay or not okay, but it makes it a little bit easier to see. Like I saw my 6-year-old father sitting across from me that was just a hurt little boy whose parents didn't know how to love him. And that is what helped created him into the person that he was, that I took personally as, you're not a good person, or you don't love me, or you don't show up for me, or you don't have enough money, or you don't do this or that. But none of that was real. Like all it was the 6-year-old boy that just wanted to be loved and wasn't loved in the way that he wanted to be. And being that transformational character, like that's me. I'm not continuing generational trauma. I'm the transformational character. Like I like to help people heal. And I think if we can all strive to be that person, to just show up our best and show up for other people, even when it's hard to, it ultimately frees us. Because after that night that I forgave my father, eating disorder, gone.
Wow. And I'm sure business has just been crazy since as well.
It's so fun. It is. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah, there's
like,
challenges.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's so much more fun and beautiful because I'm like, I don't need the outcome. I don't need to be a billionaire. I don't need to be 100 millionaire. I don't need to be anything. Like I finally have love for Hannah Hammond and the shadow self, the dark piece of me, the pieces of me that are right here next to me all the time. And I know who I am. I know who I am without business or success. I have the ego. I have all these things. I have all these insecurities. I love all the things that everyone loves, and the acceptance and the appreciation, the accomplishment, all the things. But I no longer am going to live a miserable life and carry on to what's not even mine in hope that some future outcome, some crazy unobtainable or very difficult lifelong goal is going to prevent me from ever feeling joy or happiness or freedom, because I need to have that to prove something to myself that I'm worthy of being loved.
Damn.
That's a lot. Sorry.
No. Hannah, To say that I'm proud of you in all of the things would be an understatement. You know, it's maybe been a little over a year, maybe a little longer, right? Since we chatted.
Yeah, I think it was over a year and a half.
A year and a half.
Yeah, I think it was in like third quarter, fourth quarter, 24.
So it's been about a year and a half. And you have done like multiple 360s in a year and a half. I'm very, very grateful to know you. And I'm certain that everybody watching this right now is grateful that they've tuned into this, and I'm sure have been captivated right until this point and will want to hear and know more of you. So tell us how people can find you, the name of your podcast, so that they can listen to more Hannah Hammond and go along on this incredible ride with you to see how you continue to grow, progress, evolve, change, heal, and then share that with other people so that they can do the same.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you, Jamil. Yeah, so the Hannah Hammond Show, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, it's all over. Instagram is where I'm most active. It's at Hannah B. Hammond.
Hannah B. Hammond. And she is being Hannah B. Hammond. And you guys, take care of yourselves. This is an incredible life, an incredible journey. And it's not without its pain, it's not without its trauma, but there's so much that we can do when we're just kind to ourselves and we allow ourselves to heal. I love you guys. I hope this was an incredible chat for you to listen to. And if you have any comments for Hannah or this talk, do us a favor and leave us a comment below. Her and I will both be reading them and responding to them as well. Like this video and share it with a friend, maybe somebody that you know would really benefit from hearing this. Till the next time, I'm Jamil Damji, and we'll catch you later.